the day that they could make us stop calling on the name of Allah. Now, we are members of the Nation of Islam. We've been coming to Hyde Park Speaker's Corner for well in excess of 20 plus years. In that time, we have seen every eventuality. We have had those who were foolish enough to believe that they could come here and intimidate us and prevent us from speaking a word of truth. We have had those agent provocateurs who have been sent in the past to try to foment or create violence with us.
The one you're talking about.
And we've had to deal with them according to what was necessary at the time. We've had the police attempt to intimidate us and tell us what we can or can't do in this place. And again, we've had to rebuff them on occasion. Now, this place was set up in the 17th century by wise British rulers who wanted to prevent a popular revolution of the people.
Don't forget to say that was a Christian ruler.
And so they set this place up. By the way, this used to be a place of execution back in the day.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
But they set this place up in order that all of those persons within the society who were disgruntled or dissatisfied with the state of the society or the government, that they could come here and they could vent and they could say whatever they wanted to say, and the government in turn would send their agents to listen,
MI6.
to see if what was being said was revolutionary or if the speaker was just an egotist or somebody who liked the sound of their own voice. And that way the government could manage any dissension that was in the society and ward off a popular revolution of the people.
Preach. Yes.
Very, very wise rulers. Now, in this place, we are supposed to be able to say whatever it is that we want to say. And over the years, I've been here and I've listened carefully to what people have to say. And much of what's said is foolishness.
Yes.
And the government is very happy with people coming here and spouting foolishness.
Anti-immigration.
And so I want to invite those of you who are here for your regular dose of entertainment and foolishness. If you keep moving to my right and your left, you will find plenty of it in the park. However, if you choose to stand here, I promise you, you will only receive from this podium pure, unadulterated truth.
I am really scared.
Without any apology. Because we are living in very, very serious times. And the people need to know what is happening within the society, what is happening in the world, in order that when certain things happen, which some of them have already started to happen, but when certain things go down in the near future, you will not be able to say that you didn't know.
Is Mike Tyson one of your members?
So,
Iron
A
Man.
lot has happened since we were last here.
Yeah. Ukraine war.
Africa is on the rise, and the corrupt puppet leaders working on behalf of Washington, London,
France.
and Paris
Paris, yeah. Don't forget Paris.
are shaking in their boots.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the corrupt African leaders
Yeah.
who are in the pay of the so-called Western democracies.
Now they're painting the Chinese.
Because one young lion has woken up in the nation that they call Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Muslim country, yeah, just to let you know, Burkina Faso, yeah.
And among the
Like
masses
Mali.
Almost good, yeah, Mali, yeah.
of our long-suffering people on
that-
the African continent,
Is that where Kunta Kinte is from?
they have seen
Kunta
and they have
Kinte.
heard
Who's that?
No, you don't need.
this
Oh,
young
yeah, I know,
lion.
yeah, I went to college with him, yeah.
And now the masses are also standing up and throwing
Yeah,
off
he is, yeah.
the colonial system that has kept African people and the African continent underdeveloped, impoverished, and downtrodden for
Oh,
centuries.
yes. What about the monkeypox?
There has been an attempted assassination of a former president of the United States of America,
Shot him in the ear.
because America now resembles the so-called banana republics that they have historically pointed their fingers at,
Grenada.
where they say that these banana republics,
San Lucia.
instead of democratically beating their political opponents at the ballot box, they kill them by gunning them down in the streets
Of Haiti.
or at a political rally.
Port-au-Prince.
We have been also witnessing the live streaming of a genocide fully backed and supported by most, if not all, Western governments and their media.
And the Ayatollahs of Iran.
And by the way, let me just say this, because we've been coming here and we've been teaching the people in Hyde Park and the people in the UK and the people in the world that we are taught in the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan,
What about Malcolm X?
that the white man
Who killed Malcolm X?
is the devil of our scriptures, not based on name calling, not based on some fantasy, not based on emotion, but based on actual facts, based on actual facts of history. And we said the last time we were here, and then we said it in particular to many of our Orthodox Islamic brethren, we said, wait a few days, because the white man is going to prove to you who he is.
Is that October the 7th?
And now we are beginning to see the mask of civility slipping from his ugly face. And he's showing his true colors. And so, this live streaming of a genocide is being supported and backed financially, politically, and even with the media. And this is the reality that we are all witnessing today.
Can you talk about Southport?
Now,
The riots? Or you want to
this,
talk about Tottenham riots? Mark Nugget.
this is just a little aside that I want to say. I want to say to all of the white people,
Rioters.
all the white people who took it upon yourselves to go out and demonstrate in support of the Palestinian people, you are to be applauded.
Paid by Iran.
To go against the wickedness of your own government.
Yeah.
Because historically and traditionally, many of you have gone along with what the media tells you and what your government tells you. But we have witnessed over many months, hundreds and thousands, in fact, in the millions, of all peoples, but I'm talking now specifically to the white people,
Yeah, they don't never.
who have taken the courage to go on demonstrations, even while being called names, being called apologists for terrorism,
And-
being called supporters of Hamas, being called all manner of ugly names. Yet
Antifa.
you have stepped out of your comfort zone in order to stand in solidarity with the people who are being displaced and genocided. I applaud you for that.
Who started October?
And I say to the white people,
Big up, Switch.
I know many of you have had your minds booby-trapped against the nation of Islam. And you've been told that we are this terrible hate group, and that we are anti-Semitic, and that we hate everybody. We hate gays, and we hate lesbians, and we hate, and we hate, and we hate. But let me disabuse you.
Do you like Michael Jackson?
Let me disabuse you of the lies that you've been told. We are, first and foremost,
No problem. I know you always
A
wanted to be
group
white.
of people
No, I'm not white.
who
I'm
love
not
God,
white enough for Michael
Yeah,
Jackson.
exactly.
love ourselves,
He's somehow whiter than I am.
love our people.
Yes.
And because we love God, love ourselves, and love our people, we haven't got time to be looking to fall in love with you, especially if you don't love us. We would rather concentrate our efforts and our energy on the love of God, the love of self, and the love of kind. But if you are one who is able to bypass the propaganda, the lies and the slander and the innuendos, we invite you to listen to us for a few minutes.
Can you hurry up? I've been invited for dinner
And
tonight.
you tell us honestly if you can hear hatred coming from us or some foolishness coming from us. You won't hear it, except your own bias will allow you to hear what it is you want to hear. We are here to give you good news
The Bible.
about Almighty God, Allah,
Hey, Christian.
and we are here also to give you warning, because dark days are ahead.
Want to take the piss? Best thing you can be in a place like this.
Every week.
We have warned in the past what is coming in this country and the West and the rest of the Western world, and the recent violent, racist riots
I want to know why he's wearing gloves.
have been fomented by politicians
Forensics.
such as Suella Braverman,
Imagine
Richie Sunak,
DNA on you. What do you punches your head in?
Nigel Farage,
manic street creature who's deluded.
and even Starmer himself. Because I know some of you are excited about Starmer. You're so- you feel so relieved. Oh, we got rid of the Conservatives. Now we got Mr. Starmer. He's so wonderful, really.
Zakia flip-flop.
We don't see different.
all of these politicians, they've all been pointing their finger at so-called illegal immigrants.
Stop.
And this is what fermented and ignited these recent riots in our streets, where black and brown and Islamic people have been targeted in these violent outrages.
Stop the boats.
Stop the gate.
Stop the boats.
They better stop the gate.
White men today are angry. White men are angry
Because of the football.
because they see the end of their world
They didn't win the
coming.
Euros.
White men are angry because all of their lives they have been taught that they sit on top of the planet,
Are you white?
and that
You
they
don't look very white.
and that they
Black, yellow, we are
are
all human beings.
superior
Well done, man.
Has
to the
nothing to
black,
do with white or
the
black or
brown,
yellow or green.
the yellow.
It does if you
the
want to
red.
get a job in Chase Manhattan Bank.
And
White
today
man, white man.
they can see
We are human.
that this is no longer the case. Because despite all that they have done around the world, despite all of their infiltration into other people's territories and lands, today, just like the British Empire, that they boasted that the sun would never set on the British Empire, and they watched the British Empire shrink down to something like the Hackney Empire.
What about
Now they are seeing their
What about the
influence
Kilburn Empire?
around the world waning and becoming less and less and less. And every time they look around on the streets of Britain, white men see faces that look like mine. They see Asian faces. They see Middle Eastern faces.
They see Diane Abbott.
They see Oriental faces. And they feel that they are being overwhelmed, that they are, these are the languages that they use, they're being swamped, they're being taken over,
What about David Lammy?
and they don't know what to do about it. And by the way,
Foreign Secretary.
this is not just a kind of surface emotional reaction. This actually goes very, very deep. Because something that Caucasian people know intrinsically and within themselves, especially among the elites, they know that black skin, listen carefully now,
He's smarter than the
black
man.
skin is dominant. This is in genetics. Black skin is dominant. Light skin is recessive. Dark eyes are dominant. Light eyes are recessive. You can take the recessive from the dominant. You cannot get the dominant from the recessive. That means that the black man
He's better looking.
is the original man of the planet Earth, and all human beings, you come from us.
What about the
We
Greeks?
are your mother and your father. You cannot produce us, but two black people in Africa can lay down tomorrow and we can produce blonde hair and blue eyes and white skin, or what you might call albino. We have the whole color spectrum within the black man and the black woman. We are the mothers and fathers of civilization. Two white people laying down together cannot produce yellow. They cannot produce brown. They certainly cannot produce black. They can only produce white. And white, as I've stated, is recessive. Now, what that means,
There is no black in the Union Jack.
what that means
Yeah, there's no black in the Union Jack.
is that as a people, white people
Whites are angels.
are in a decline. White people, you are brand new people to our planet. You are recent newcomers to the planet Earth. As black people, we have been here, I want you to hear me, we have been here not hundreds and thousands of years, we haven't been here millions of years, we haven't been here billions of years. We have been here for trillions of years.
What, since the monkey
The
descended?
black man is the ancient of days. Whenever the planet began, we were here.
How many black men won
The
in
white
Olympics?
man, the white man,
Gold.
you are a brand new man to the planet. That's why you will never hear Caucasian people claiming nativity anywhere on the
I'm
planet.
from Caucasia, man. Definitely from
Caucasians do not claim. And by the way, Caucasian
Yes.
comes from the Caucasus Mountain.
Bravo.
That's why you're called
I come from
Caucasians,
there, native.
because it's
Native.
from when
You come from
it's from
Bosnia,
when
mate.
you were
What are you
in
talking about?
Bosnia.
it is from when you were
Bosnia has
in
a copy now.
the hills and cave sides of
You're a
Europe.
white Muslim.
When you were cavemen and cavewomen 6,000 years ago, you were taken or you were given the name Caucasian. That is your true identity. Now, what these Caucasian people feel intrinsically, what they know, and according to the statistics of the demographers are the scientists
Yeah.
of population growth,
Yeah.
population movements, populations in general.
And
And according to the demographers, Caucasians or white people are a diminishing breed. They now have what's called gray power. They are old people
bit like
who are
Biden.
declining rapidly.
Biden. He's on the
Listen to
right.
this. Caucasian people's birth to death ratio
He's 89.
in most of the European countries is below zero.
So they're not born
In
then.
other words, for every Caucasian baby that is born, 1 or 2 Caucasians are dying.
So there's no black people.
And
that
so
white.
you are in a decline. You have gray power.
Can we
because
go
you
to
are mostly
Rwanda,
old.
please?
You are not producing.
I want to go to
In
Rwanda.
Germany,
On the next
in
boat.
Germany, they are paying German white women to have babies. They are having huge debates right now in England, in Australia, in New Zealand, in all the European places about how they can maximize their population, how they can encourage more women to have more babies. In Africa, in the Caribbean, in the Isles of the Pacific, wherever you find black, brown, yellow, and red people, we have no such problem.
Where'd you get red people?
These are what you call Native
On
Americans.
Bournemouth Beach, maybe. I guess. You get a lot of red people on Bournemouth
The
Beach.
reality is that today,
When you stand in the sun, you
in
become
Africa
red. Indian.
and in the world of original people,
Aboriginal.
we have the average age of our population is below 30 years old. We are a young people, and by the way, back in 1930, our number was 4,400,000,000, while Caucasians at that time only numbered 400 million. Let me give you the figures again. Caucasians in the 1930s were 400 million in number.
How did they
Black
count them all?
people, non-white people, were 4,400,000,000. 400 million. So this idea
He basically just
where you
grouping
spend
everyone
so
else
much
apart
time
from Caucasian.
calling us a minority, you need to stop it. And black people, you need to stop referring to yourself as a minority, and even worse, an ethnic minority. The etymological root to the word ethnic is another way of saying heathen or non-believer. And they have us speaking language into ourselves that diminishes ourselves.
Yeah, it's called Swahili.
And so, you need to understand that the Caucasian, he knows intrinsically that he is dying. And he is afraid, and therefore he lashes out when he sees this color dominating in the society. Because, according to one of our great scientific sisters, who has now passed on, may Almighty God Allah be pleased with her. Her name was Dr. Frances Cress Welsing.
She doesn't sound Muslim to me.
Dr. Frances Cress Welsing taught about the fear of genetic annihilation.
Yeah.
This is a fear that white people have. They have a fear of genetic annihilation because anything that the black man touches, it turns black. Anything
How
that
does
the
that
black
work?
woman touches,
that work?
it turns black. And so, they are afraid,
Black Jack.
according to the demography.
I love black.
They say that
But I
by
like
the
fruit
year,
salads as well.
they say that by the year 2056, the planet
think I know
Earth
what his favourite
will
is.
be brown.
No, it's Black
Actually,
Jack.
blackjacks do turn
This
your
is
mouth
what
black,
the
don't they?
demographers
So maybe
predict.
he has got a point.
By the year
Fruit
2056,
salads don't do
planet
it.
Earth will be brown. And so, many white men today are very angry because they feel as if they've been cheated even by their own governments
They've got black rubber
because
gloves
they
on.
I
were
know, it's forensic.
miseducated to believe that they were superior and that instead of trying to
He's the one who's
move and get along with the rest of the human family, they felt that they could go and conquer and dominate the human family. And that attitude of domination, that attitude of oppression, that attitude of ethnic cleansing,
They are all the
that
same
attitude of genocide, that attitude has now earned you the hatred of many on the planet who now don't have sympathy for you as you are in your decline. And many who, given an opportunity, will throw you out of the countries that you have now occupied. Now, a lot of you got very excited about what we are witnessing in Gaza. And I see people on the TV every day pulling their hair out because they can't understand what is
The Nation of
this
Islam got a
that we
Gaza
are
branch.
looking at.
The Gaza branch.
How can Israel do what it's doing with such impunity?
They got black soldiers as well.
And people are confused because you don't understand what you're looking at. And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad never lied
Never lied.
when he said that that white man is
The devil.
the devil.
The devil.
You see, because you can't understand. You can't understand how another human being could be so blatant, could be so wicked,
To take
could be
slaves.
so evil in the face of the world
To take slaves.
and lie. Every time he opens his mouth, it's a blatant, diabolical means satanic, diabolical lie.
Racist,
that comes out of his mouth. But why are you surprised? The only reason you're surprised is because today you can see genocide being live streamed on your phone.
Didn't want to talk about that.
But guess what? This is not the first genocide. Genocide is the mode of operation of the European. This is what he does as a matter of course. You don't believe me?
No.
Go and ask the so-called Aboriginal people. Where are they today?
I'll ask the Muslims. They're the ones who
How did
enslaved
Australia become a white man's country?
us. Captain
Where are the
Cook. Captain
Aborigines?
Cook.
That was genocide. Within
They're
100
still
years,
there though. So it
the
wasn't a
vast
very
majority of
successful
those
genocide,
native
was it?
people were gone. Argentina,
Oh, yeah.
South American country with people who look like me. Today, you can hardly
Really?
find
No.
a
Really?
black
That
man
was
in
Jamaica.
Argentina.
That was
Native
Jamaica.
Argentinians look like you. I don't think
And
so.
Dominica.
Where did you learn that from?
North America.
Canada.
What happened to the Native Americans?
They've got
You
casinos
think
now.
what they did
Well, they
was
didn't
you
look
think
like
what
you
they did
either.
was pretty?
They didn't look like you either.
What they did in North America
They look like Tom
with the
Cruise.
Trail of Tears, with the displacement of the native people and the total annihilation of tens of millions of human beings. And they said the same thing that the Israelis are saying today. It was a land for a people without a land. They claimed that when they went there were no
gosh,
native
yeah.
people.
Here we go.
These
There we
are the
go.
wicked, evil people.
Should we call them
who
over?
Genocide
No,
is a
come over.
matter of course.
Yeah.
In 1948, or let's go even before that, because all of this began with the British. Man, I'm so excited. I'm really jumping around today. But I just want to calm myself down
I'm very excited. Why are you so excited?
because
Have you seen a white woman? Seen a white
the white man said I'm excited because I saw a white woman.
calling you white.
You're wishful thinking. We're very happy with our black woman. Thank you.
But you never come with your woman.
You can keep your white woman. We don't want her.
Why are all the adverts got
We
a black
love-
man
we
with a
love
white
this-
woman there?
We love
it's
this
called
black
Are
woman.
the, are the advertisers lying?
Listen to the question.
But it's true, isn't it?
Why are all the adverts now featuring mixed race
your
culture,
question. Yeah.
mixed black and white?
Even
Why?
Well,
Spencer's.
first and foremost,
He likes this question.
it isn't
doesn't he?
black people
I
who
know,
are
just
the
saw him
high
come in.
execs in these media corporations. It's white people who are now pushing integration. Now that you realize that you're in trouble,
Is that a bad thing, integration?
now you
Is
want
integration
to
bad?
mix yourselves up with us because it's about your own
Why is
survival.
integration bad?
But we are wiser than that today, and we are not about
You're not going to integrate, is
to
that what you're
integrate
saying?
ourselves out of ourselves. When we integrate, we disintegrate among ourselves.
Ah.
So first
So
and
separatism
foremost,
is the answer.
our intention
Separatism is
to
the answer, is that
integrate
what you're
among
saying?
ourselves.
Apartheid. So
Because
you
black
like
people-
apartheid.
Because black people
So you
have
want,
been divided and ruled.
you like apartheid.
Black people have been divided and ruled, and black people must unite in order for us to survive the genocidal onslaught from a people who are fearful that their time is up and they want to take down as many people
So you
with
don't
them
want to
as they
integrate,
can.
you want to remain separate, you like apartheid.
I don't know how long my throat is
No,
going to
no.
last. It's been a while.
It's called old age. We all face it. Where are you young folk? Where are your trainees? All the same faces that you came here with 15, 20 years ago. Where are the youngsters?
So,
They don't believe what he's saying.
We don't know how to answer that. Come on, man.
You get my
You must have been recruiting youngsters.
Every week you take my photo. You tell you to be
the Balfour Declaration was published in 1917, and it reads, His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine. So when you hear these Israelis saying that there's no such thing as Palestine and that it was always Israel, that's a damnable lie. According to the Balfour Declaration, it said the establishment in Palestine
Has anyone got a lozenge?
of a national home
Throat lozenge.
for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities. Just listen to the language that they use to describe the indigenous people. Nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights
Can you hear real Muslims
of
over there?
existing non-Jewish communities,
I think there are real Muslims over there.
or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. So they knew
Yeah, you've got to be over 60.
from the beginning
You've got to wear a dicky bow.
what they were about to do to the indigenous people in that region. And they were using language to attempt to disguise their true intentions. And ultimately, when they came into existence in 1948, there was what the Palestinians, the Arab-speaking people, called the first Nakba, which was the displacement and the expelling of between 750,000 and over 1 million Arabs from their lands. And those persons have never been allowed to return. Stolen land.
Right now.
Saudi Arabia.
This is the reality. You know, some people, they want to start on October the 7th. And when I listen to some of the talking heads and some of the so-called news media, they're so hypocritical,
Unlike you.
such liars,
Unlike you.
such deceivers,
Unlike you.
talking about their outrage
Like you.
over the barbaric attack by Hamas and the Palestinians on Israel on October the 7th. But in reality, for over 75 years, those people have lived under oppression, under the Israelis, who delight in the subjugation and the oppression of a whole people, where wholesale slaughter is a matter of course,
That's what it is.
and nobody does anything to rein in
All the same race.
the wicked behavior of the Israelis against these mostly innocent men, women, and children who are unable to properly defend themselves and are unable to fight back against a regime that is backed by that one that boasts that it's the only superpower on the planet, namely the United States of America. And don't forget Britain, because Britain is the one who started the whole process in the first place. And so Israel is now manifesting. If you listen to some of the Israeli spokespersons, when they speak on television, they will often sound, when they're asked about what they're doing to the Palestinians, apart from the lies about Palestinians using their own people as human shields and all of that stuff that they like to say, apart from that, sometimes, if you listen, the Israeli spokespersons, they sound incredulous that they're being asked such questions, and often they will reply, well, what about what you did against ISIS? What about what you did in Iraq? What about what you did in Libya? And they will hit back at their Caucasian questioners as if to say, you are hypocrites because we're only doing what you did. We're only following your example. And the reporters, they know it's true. They know that Israel is an outpost of America and Britain. They know that Israel was planted in the Middle East to keep the Middle East under Western domination and Western control. That is the purpose of Israel in that region. Israel is not a Jewish state. It is not a Jewish state. According to Mr. Balfour, when he wrote to Mr. Rothschild, he didn't say they were going to set up a Jewish state. He was writing to set up a Zionist entity. And Zionism and Judaism are two completely different things. And in many aspects of history, they were at odds. And there are many Jews today who reject this idea of Israel or Greater Israel, who reject the idea of what has been done and what is being done to the Palestinians. But the mainstream media is not going to tell you that there are many in the Jewish faith who reject this idea that this is a Jewish homeland, when in reality it is like a military aircraft carrier in that place. It is a place that is militarized for continuous warfare. It is a place that is armed to the teeth by the Western powers, and that's why, even though they speak mealy-mouthed words and they make false declarations of condemnation or feeling sympathy for the Palestinians, at the same time, when they say, eventually they got to the point where they say, oh, there needs to be a ceasefire. We're working very hard to bring about a ceasefire. But in the meantime, here is 23 more billion worth of weapons. So you can continue to slaughter men, women, and children. I want you to imagine, you know, I've lived in this country for well over 50 years. And I've seen from time to time in this country, they accidentally, during a building project, they unearth a World War II bomb, unexploded. And when they find that unexploded ordnance, there is a huge panic and an emergency and an evacuation in order to protect that neighborhood, just in case that bomb should go off and injure a person or many persons, because they are demonstrating a care for their population and the fact that they don't want there to be any injuries whatsoever. They take no chances. That place will be cordoned off. The bomb disposal people will come in. Even if they have to put people up for days in a hotel, they will do whatever it takes to protect one life from being harmed. I want you to imagine for a second, especially those of you who have got children at home. I want you to imagine in excess of 16,000 children, many of them babies, being torn to pieces by 2,000-pound bombs supplied by the British and the Americans. And you think that at some point, when this is all done and over, that Israel can get back to business as usual and it's going to be normal runnings? I mean, honestly, you live in a strange universe. When I listen to the news and I hear over and over again Israelis and other talking heads from Britain and other parts of the world, and they're saying, well, whatever happens, at the end of this process, Hamas cannot be in any kind of power. Hamas must go because they're so barbaric, they're so medieval, they're so wicked, they're so evil. There's no way that they must ever be in any authority over Palestinians in that region. And I think to myself, wow, okay. So what are you saying about Netanyahu? What are you saying about a so-called government that has now murdered in excess of 40,000 innocent men, women, and children? According to the popular medical magazine in this country, Lancet, they estimate that the death toll could be as high as 186,000. Not to count those who are buried under rubble. I mean, it's really something. And as I listen to these talking heads, what comes to mind is that I'm not hearing anything new. It's just the standard stuff that Europeans do all around the world. Do you know what it's called? It's called regime change. When it was Yasser Arafat, you didn't like him. Arafat had to go. And eventually the Israelis penned him in his compound and poisoned him and caused him to die. Eventually, when they knew he was going to die, they let him go to a hospital in Europe and die. It doesn't matter who it is in power, they can't find anybody on the other side that they can deal with. It's got nothing to do with anyone on the other side, but it's got everything to do with the mentality of white supremacy, European supremacy. Now it's Hamas. They're the new bogeymen. And every time they find one. Once upon a time, they gave Saddam Hussein $80 billion. You didn't hear what I said? They gave Saddam Hussein $80 billion to attack Iran. Saddam was their friend then. They gave Saddam military intelligence from their satellites so they could look at the Iranians in their attempt to defeat the Iranian revolution, Islamic revolution. And then at a certain point in time, they fell out with Saddam. And Saddam became the new bogeyman. And then it was regime change for Iraq. And if you remember, at that time, what did they say? Our argument is not with the Iraqi people. Our argument is with Saddam. But who did they kill? Over 1 million Iraqis. See, these are liars. These are deceivers. These are wicked demons. Then the next bogeyman was Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. I want you to imagine some foreign nation sending missiles into the UK and killing the Prime Minister's son or daughter. How do you think this country would react? But they could do that to Libya, to Gaddafi.
Celebrate.
They murdered Saddam's 2 sons, murdered his family, murdered him in the sham trial that they held. Then they went to Assad in Syria. They haven't managed to get Assad yet, but they're still trying. They occupy parts of Syria, stealing the oil right now as we speak. You all watch your news, right? And on the news, they're telling you about this bogeyman and that bogeyman, and you know, Vladimir Putin. He's the reincarnation of Adolf Hitler, and Kim Jong-un. He's such a wicked, crazy person. Oh my God, they mustn't have nuclear weapons because who knows what they'll do. But guess what? Who's the only one who's ever used a nuclear weapon? Wasn't anybody who looked like me. Wasn't any brown man, wasn't any yellow man. My recollection was that it was America who dropped an atomic weapon on Hiroshima, killing 150,000 people instantly, and hundreds of thousands over the years, millions over the years through the fallout of nuclear contamination. And when that bomb dropped, not long after the Second World War, when that bomb dropped, America said, wow, it's wonderful, it works. Let's do it again. And so they dropped another one on Nagasaki. These are crazy, sick people. The Japanese were in no way threatening the West. But the dropping of those 2 weapons was to send a message to the rest of humanity that we are the boss. We're in charge. And if you step out of line, we can annihilate you. Because this is the mentality of might makes right. This is the mentality of white supremacy. You know, in the Middle East, in Palestine, before Balfour and his declaration, before 1948 and the imposition of Israel in that region, there were Jews living in that land, indigenous Jews, alongside indigenous Arabs and Muslims, alongside indigenous Christians. And guess what? They got on very well. It was a beautiful place where all of these people lived together. And the Jews, by the way, were a very small minority among the Christians and the Muslims at that time. But once the European so-called Jews decided to flood into that area, all hell broke loose. Because they didn't come into that area to establish community and neighborly living with the indigenous people there. They didn't come in there to share the land and to be a part of a greater community. They came to dominate. They came to take over. They came to destroy what was there and to replace it with their own. This is the reality of what is happening today. And so, you know, the history of European interference in all parts of the world is really, really sick and really, really diabolical. In 1953, the CIA, along with the British and others, they engineered a coup in Iran to overthrow the then, 1953, the then democratically elected president of that nation, Mohammad Mossadegh, and to install a puppet monarch who they called the Shah of Iran in order to get more or less free oil from that region through the auspices of a British company. This is what Europeans do. This is what Caucasians do. This is your history all around the world. Now today, you want to point the finger at Iraq. Sorry, I beg your pardon. You want to point the finger at Iran as the troublemaker in the region. Iran as the one who is threatening everybody. But the last time I looked, Iran is in its own region. I don't know why America should have over 800 bases, military bases, all around the planet in other people's countries. Why is this? Who are you that you believe that you have a right to go around the world and police the world and dominate the people of the world? How long do you think, to use modern language, how sustainable is that? Well, I can tell you, it's completely unsustainable and it's rapidly coming to an end. You are witnessing, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that we are witnessing the unraveling of a once great nation, namely America and Britain. America and Britain are joined at the hip, they're joined at the head, and they're joined at the heart. They are one and the same. There is no separation between them. And according to